So we'll just get started and knock this guy's out. So I just want to say thanks for taking the time to do it, first of all.
Oh, man, it's good to be here with you. We've known you for a long time.
I know, dude, it's been a long time. And I haven't seen you guys or got to talk to you in a while, but it has been a minute. This is the J. Ramone podcast on Rock 100.5 The Cat, and I am sitting here with Blake and Joey from Devour the Day. And you guys just announced a tour, and I reached out to Joey because I saw there's a date listed for Beer City Music Hall in Oklahoma City.
Yes, sir.
So finally, you're coming back. So I'll let everybody know right off the bat. If you go to the description of this episode, I'll put the links to where you can buy tickets and where you can find Devour the Day's music on all the socials and streaming platforms. So we'll try to make it very, very simple for you.
Yeah, please come hang out.
But I was telling Joey when we were chatting back and forth, I met you guys 11 years ago, and my two sons are in here with me. I've got an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I was telling my oldest, Wyatt, I said, we're gonna go back to the office and I'm gonna interview this band. And he goes, okay, well, what band, Dad? And I handed him my phone and I told him what to pull up on YouTube, and he pulls up Good Man. He'd never heard it before. And I told him, I said, now this song came out the year you were born, Wyatt. And he was pretty blown away. But we were talking about when you guys were on tour and came to Ardmore, Oklahoma. Good Man had just come out. Your first full-length record, as Devour the Day, had just come out. And all of a sudden, when that song drops as a single, the accelerator hits the floor. And you guys went from this kind of brand new band trying to make it independently to that song exploding at rock radio and putting you guys on the map. And I was telling Joey, I was trying to look it up, but I'm fairly certain that the week you guys came to Ardmore, Oklahoma was when at Active Rock Radio, that song was like number one. It was like at its peak. And I know that we were playing it in Ardmore damn near every hour on the hour. It was one of those songs that was in power rotation the moment it came out. How have you guys maintained this career as an independent artist, constantly growing and getting bigger and bigger?
Oh, that is a really good question.
I would say
one thing that's really intrigued me about your band from the moment go, even with Egypt Central, you guys really were a DIY band. At some point, you may have had record deals or management or whatever, but it was very much do it yourself, and you guys were kind of on your own.
And I think it led to the Good Man's success. It actually led to some opportunities with Universal Publishing, like as writers. It led to some opportunities with some label deals and things like that, and running the gambit on where those kinds of deals were happening in like 2013, 2014, whatever. Totally different picture than when we started with Egypt Central and what it looks like now, the landscape even post-pandemic. But I think that we've focused a lot on education. We have educated ourselves on every element of how the music industry runs, especially within active rock, and focused on that heavily during the pandemic. And that's why we turned to starting our own label for both Egypt Central and Devour. And we've been so excited that we got 60+ million streams on our label in the last 2 or 3 years, which is just kind of crazy. And speaks volumes to our fan base. I would say a lot of the reason why we can continue is because we have amazing people who listen to our music, and we have a connect to our stream funding. And so and when people listen to our music, they really are supporting Blake and I, which is a pretty incredible thing to still have around in 2024. But also just diversifying as much as we can. Blake and I both play for Pop Evil now. We are constantly riding with Egypt Central and have a good relationship with the singer of that band to create.
Okay, so Joey, I knew you were playing bass for Pop Evil for the last couple of years, but Blake, are you playing drums in Pop Evil now?
Yeah. It's an unannounced thing, but we did.
It's good for our scheduling.
We did.
Yeah, dude, that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, we did 10 shows in like
Canada,
12 days.
Yeah,
and they went great, and everybody that is a part of that camp was just so nice, and and we had such a good time together. And it was nice to be, you know, behind the kit after almost 12 years of just not playing drums at all, and then just jumping in with a band that, you know, we grew up together. So about the time that I stopped playing drums, you know, that band, I think Up came out, and so like it was like they skyrocketed like right at that point when Egypt Central closed the doors. So for me to just like jump back in playing drums with them at this pinnacle of where they're at right now, it's like a time warp or some kind of weird thing.
It's the
like,
same fan base.
As if I never stopped playing drums. And so it was awesome. They are so great and accommodating, obviously, for Joey and I having other projects too. And we're just, you know, it's just a really nice family oriented situation where we're just supporting each other and like, yeah, let's do this all together.
I think it's really cool because I know the history and that you guys have been touring and playing shows with Pop Evil literally since the very beginning.
Yeah, their first tour ever was opening up for Egypt Central.
Right.
I mean, I think it was our first headlining tour.
Yeah, it was. We were all we were destroying cities one at a time as 20-year-old crazy people. But we earned some stripes together, so it makes sense. And Lee and that whole crew, they're just really loving, and they want to take care of us, and they've just been like you said, just so accommodating, such champions of everything we're doing. You would think that, you know, us having other bands or other projects or Devour the Day and how we're coordinating might cause issues for people, but that's just not the vibe. It's everyone is creating and trying to work as hard as they can constantly. And so we feel really supported.
Some bands are totally not cool with sharing, you know, your members creatively to other projects, and some that's just how they thrive. So I'm excited for you guys that you're back out together, because I was curious how you were going to do both Devour the Day and Pop Evil at the same time, how they were going to coexist.
We have some things coming up where Blake and I will be on the road for some weeks.
Yeah, we're going to be flying in the middle of the night to go do a show here, and then get back to go do a show here. And so it's going to be a wild ride. We should document this.
Yeah, we will.
You'll see like the deterioration on our faces.
Yeah. We're gonna age like a president.
We're gonna need you guys to strap on 2 GoPros each, one that's facing forward and one that's facing you, so we can see the context of your face during the exhaustion.
Yeah.
But you know, it's cool really to be this far into our journey in active rock, and we've always been in this genre for any of the bands we've played for. We've always loved loud drums, loud guitars, the energy of a rock crowd, the festivals, and I just think for all that to come full circle and it still feel like an adventure, that's just awesome. And I even now to be this far into it as best friends, and kind of like still not really knowing what each new year is going to hold musically or creatively. I'm just still having a really good time.
Yeah.
So how many years total between both projects have you guys been creating music and art together?
We met in 2000.
Yep. And then we got signed to Lava Atlantic after 8 shows in Egypt Central, because A&R named Andy Shane found us on like MySpace or something, and that was in 2002. So we've now figured out we've been making music for more than half of our lives together. That's
a crazy long relationship, guys.
Yep.
So one of my coworkers, I was telling him earlier today, he was asking who I had coming up on the podcast. And I told him that you guys were going to come on, and he was like, crazy story. 20 years ago or whatever, when he was programming a radio station in small town Altus, Oklahoma, they booked you guys to come play this racetrack in Altus outside of an Air Force base with Egypt Central. And he was like, it's one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. Blah, blah.
I love that. I love that.
That's good news.
So you guys have literally paid your dues in Oklahoma.
Well, we love Oklahoma. We even have local production company out of Oklahoma we started working with. I think it's a lot like a second home in the fact that it's close to Little Rock too. A lot of the same kind of people. So
a lot of our tour friends are
a lot of good food in Oklahoma, I will say,
Bro.
though. I mean, a lot of good other activities have bloomed up there too. There's a lot of
they
gardening and such.
So what production company are you talking about?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Yeah.
We'll show you when you get here.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Toucan Lighting, or are you talking about Robin's the greatest, man.
Yeah, they've been awesome. Battle, we
just had a meeting with them about production for this next run.
And Battle, we met on a Hinder run a long time ago. So yeah, he has to give us good prices because of what we know. No, I'm kidding.
Wait, what do you know?
I'm 6'8", and so Battle and I like to show up like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito and twins together.
Twins, yeah. Okay,
good. I love that.
Yeah.
Well,
we've wrecked shop a few times.
Yeah, he's the best. He looked out for us.
Yeah, he might appear to be short, but he's mighty.
He is very mighty. Don't underestimate the height.
Yeah, I mean, his name is Battle. Come on now.
He may be 5'6", but really he's 7'2".
Yeah. Yep, for sure.
So let's talk new music, because the one thing that blew my mind that I did not expect to see was a collaboration song between Egypt Central and Devour the Day.
Yeah.
And I know your backstory and a lot of the issues within the industry and struggles that you guys have had. So lyrically, it made perfect sense. And then that's when I went back and I started looking at older interviews or other interviews that you guys have done in the last year or so, kind of talking about creating the new label. And I was like, they're finally doing what they should have done all those years ago, because you guys know as well as I do, when you have a vision for your art of where you want it to go and where it should be, and you start putting labels involved and management companies and all these other people, they think they know what's best, but they didn't create the art whatsoever. And so they're not invested into it emotionally and mentally like you guys are. And so now 100%. I think that you guys have control. You can do what you do best.
Yeah. I also think that, like, that's the art element of this, and the creation part of the process is only half the battle. This industry is not set up to take care of the young artist. It's not set up to really do anything but make you a number, and then if you can either reach a number or not, that's your only value, and that isn't changing. That's only evolving into a deeper set mindset of what we're doing. And so Blake and I have had conversations with every single label, every single management group, and our understanding of how these deals work and everything is, we've just taken a long time to educate ourselves on exactly what's happening. And I think for us, at the end of the day, we realize that when there are limitations on releasing our music, a lot of it is because of a line in the sand we won't cross, which is that we won't really want to be anybody else's bitch. I don't know how else to say it.
If you're not willing to be
a lot of bands they're glorified merchandise companies.
If you're not willing to be a sucker, they don't even want to talk to you. You know,
but if you're developmental even too, it's like you have no other way to go. And so I don't blame bands for doing record deals. They're incredible bands where it makes sense. But I mean, when there's 4 mouths to feed and there's 4 people trying to make a career, it's one thing to manage it, obviously, at 21, 22 years old, and a totally different thing when you're trying to manage.
How old were you guys when you got your Lava deal?
20 and 21. And we went out to make a $265,000 record with Josh Abrams. And these things just don't exist anymore.
They don't. I mean, what do you think a record with him would cost these days?
Oh, maybe I don't know. 40? He's in the pop world now. But I mean,
even the pop world, those people don't make what they used to when you guys were first starting out. That's why all these big major studios are closing, because they can't afford to keep the doors open. And that's kind of, it's just become so much easier for everybody to take full control and do it yourself.
I think for us too, there was a big turning point when we created this docuseries called Soundtrack to Your Story, where a lot of the conversations we had while recording this record for Devour called Signals were surrounding this book about just starting to talk about changing the narrative of who the hero of the story is. A lot of times in our industry, especially in active rock, you're getting this idea that like the band members are the hero. But as like time would change and active would change within the industry as a whole, it just seemed ridiculous to be thinking of yourself as the hero of the story, when the reality is like the community of active rock, especially in like 2015 or 12, those times, like that was the real hero of the story. And I think when we started to just see ourselves as more the soundtrack to our community's lives, that connection to our community and the heartbeat of our niche market, our people that just listen to the stuff that we write together, whether it be Egypt Central or Devour the Day, or even the stuff we're writing with Pop People. We wanted to do a system that would honor them and put us in a position to just keep making art. What we didn't want to do is just try to be successful for ourselves and then not be able to create anything later on, because there's nothing left but scraps financially or whatever. So that change in heart, I think, really helped us be comfortable with how we want to release music, how we want to do things.
So now that you guys are label heads, how do you intend to release music with your projects?
We've got a really great deal with Vidya through our distribution. We talked to quite a few distribution companies. We are really lucky to be early in on that, because like I said, we were focusing on education, got just an incredible rate. We make so much of our streaming, like the idea of what people think of what they can get on streaming is totally different for us. And again, that's our fan base that continues to stream our stuff day in, day out. But we do everything, man. We create and video our own content. We edit it. We engineer our own music. We do all of the artwork. We create all the content. We meet here at the studio in Little Rock every day. We work from 9 to 3, 9 to 5, either rehearsing in the other room or here in the studio room, doing everything from graphic design to the audio engineering. And just feel like we're just having a blast teaching ourselves how to do everything. We've recently got really into short form content.
We're kind of under the mindset that like, we don't know how to do that, but we'll figure it out.
That's the way I've always done it. Like you just kind of jump in with both feet and go for it. You're not always going to succeed, but there's going to be lessons along the way that are going to help you get to where you want to go.
For sure. Hard lessons.
Yeah. Hard lessons. Yeah. It's not going to be fun. It's going to suck, but you're going to figure it out and you're going to get there. So you've got 4 songs on this new EP that have come out?
There'll be 5 total, but 4 have been released as singles, as we've kind of created our own timeline as to how we wanted to release this.
Well, you're the boss now, so you can do that. You don't have to. You don't have to listen to somebody telling you, no, we really need to do it on this day.
Well, the problem is that's us. It's like this internal warfare where we're like, no, we need to get a song out. Yeah, but I need to take my time. Yeah, but we need a song out. And I mean, seeing it from both sides, like I think we both understand the pressure that a label puts on artists, because forward momentum is everything. And I mean, I think that when you're under the relationship with the label where you're kind of working for them, that's the way it feels. You want to just push back on it just because that's the nature of rock music.
Well, especially when they
rebel on that. But now that we're in this position, it's like, no, let's show up to our desk every day. And what's the next thing that just has to get done? And we're just doing that every day, all hours of the day, just going at it. And
we also always talked about the dream of like the conception of the artwork not being rushed and or not taking a year to get out when you had something fresh. And so our ability to like release a song and then react in real time to how the fans are responding, that has adjusted the way we wrote the other 3 or 4 songs on this EP. It wasn't that we wrote them in a batch and then you've just been getting piecemealed stuff we wrote a year ago. We've been releasing and then reacting, and that part of the process, to be able to have finished Empty only a month before it came out, or 6 weeks before it came out, like finished, and then we went with it. That's really, really cool to know that, like, from conception to the listener's ear is a much shorter time. When we started in the industry, you got everything done and it didn't come out for like a year
or more.
And that was always kind of frustrating for us, because by the time the record came out, artistically, you had almost like you were already moved on.
Yeah,
you were tired of those songs and had already written a whole new batch.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you'd already like figured out, like, oh, I know all of the things that are wrong with that song, and it comes out tomorrow. I'm so grateful for that. But we've been able to, in this mode, like we're usually working on a song up until like the day it gets mixed, and even when it gets mixed, we're still like redoing things and sending them off to get them tidied up and mixed and everything. And then when the song comes back, the day that it comes back, usually just about is the day that we're uploading it to the streaming or distributor to get it out there. And that is probably the most anxiety inducing, terrifying method, but it's also a lot of fun. And I think that it's making really, really good music.
It wouldn't be allowed at a label either. You'd have to logistically, you wouldn't be allowed, like everything has to be turned in.
Yeah.
And
you kids are such a headache. You're
fired. And then they're probably not even going to listen to it for another week or two once you turn it in, at best. Yeah. Whereas you guys have probably obsessed over it every hour on the hour up to release day.
Yeah.
We're a bit analytical. When it comes to our stuff,
on a little bit on loop.
But I mean, too, like, with things that are going on in the world or things that go on in our personal life, we've lived some life too, and we don't hold on to the art with the same like need for it to define us, which is freeing. But then too, like, it's still absolute therapy for us. And so any of the things that we're going through our life, been really great to be able to discuss those and make artwork about it and then release it in the world. And there hasn't been a song that we've released, because it's coming from an honest place, that we haven't got that response where it did positively affect somebody else's life through their ability to relate to our struggles. And that back and forth does not get old.
Somebody the other day asked me, like, if you could, if I was going to give you 100, whatever number you can choose, like 100 million bajillion dollars, whatever. But if you take that money, you cannot make another song.
Wow.
You can't write, you can't do it anymore. You just have to put it to bed and find something else to do. And I'm going to sound like a weirdo, but I started crying, not like bawling, but I could feel myself like, oh my God, if I couldn't do that, if I couldn't just make something every day, or at least just have it on the horizon that I have the ability to make something, I think it wouldn't be you. I'd go crazy.
It wouldn't be you.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. $100 million.
$20 is $20.
I can still like listen to music. I just can't create it.
Yeah. Some of the most miserable people I've ever met have $100 million. You know what I mean? Like,
same, 100%. But I've never had 100 million, and I've been miserable before. So I mean, it can't be that bad, right?
Let's at least check it off, right?
I'll just try it for a little bit.
If I don't like it, if I don't like it, I'll give it away.
I'll just say, but Blake can keep writing.
Right?
Yeah, I'll fund it then.
You guys be rolling in a sweet bus then. That would be awesome.
Exactly.
Maybe Bruce Dickinson flying Devour the Day around in the Iron Maiden plane.
Yeah, that sounds
so
awesome.
Are you guys planning on releasing physical product, cassette, vinyl? It freaks me out to say that cassettes have made a comeback, but damn it, they have. I don't know how, but vinyl I get, but
I think just anything physical. We've had an incredible request for CDs. So we did a limited run of CDs for these shows that you can only get at the shows. So the show in Oklahoma, we have and a couple other shows on our way to incarceration. That's the only place where we're going to sell them. But we are going to do vinyl. We have quite a few different vinyls that are in the works throughout the different bands and stuff.
I assumed with the creation of the new label that you guys were going to attempt to go back and get the rights back to your previous material to be able to put it out how you want.
The way that we found around that is the ability to re-record, and we just started that. I think we just passed 3 million streams on our version called the EC version of White Rabbit, and there was a great response. We were kind of blown away that all these years later, John actually sounded more like the music now than he did when he was a kid trying to figure out his voice. So
it's like we were writing new songs, and it's like, oh, John's voice has changed a lot, so we're kind of writing in this different way. But when we started to record that song, I was like, is he lying to us? Or
hey, it's really him.
He sounds just like him.
It's the guy from the band. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You said something really interesting, Joey. I don't know if you heard this, but I think Joey said that there will be CDs for like limited edition CDs for sale at the Oklahoma when we play Oklahoma at the Beer City Music Hall.
Yeah.
Did I hear that right?
That's right.
And you guys know that CD sales have made a comeback in Europe and are through the roof. So anybody watching this in Europe, just message me. I'll buy some at the show. We'll ship them to you. We'll take care of it.
Yeah. Inside scoop. Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
I think it really has to do with the physical artwork and the packaging and the tangible collectability of it all. I'm that guy that would open
the artwork and read along while I'm listening, or read the thank yous while I'm listening to the record. It is very much about the tangible, physical, holding it, seeing it, touching it, hearing it, all of that all at once.
Yeah, 100%. I remember when buying the Rage Against the Machine record, because the image was so crazy, and being a young kid, I was like, I can own this and this will be mine. And just
like the Monk on Fire.
The Monk on Fire. And then seeing like the way that they had an image of them practicing and stuff. And or maybe that was on Empire.
No, but you're right. That above shot.
Yeah. Where they're in a circle or semi.
Yeah, it's like in the band room. Yeah, it's like it's so sick.
So yeah, I agree. Album artwork is like, it was such a big part of it, because you're listening while looking at that, and that's just something that's lost today,
100.
And I love it.
So when you're ready to do vinyl, let me know. I've got a friend of mine who works for a vinyl pressing plant in Dallas, Texas.
Perfect.
I went through a tour the other day, and it was one of the coolest things I have ever seen in my life. Watching a record get made from start to finish blew my mind.
Especially some of like the crazy color dripping versions. Like I've watched a couple videos like that, get stuck on TikTok, just like watching vinyl get made for an hour.
I'd never seen it in real life. I'd only watched those videos online, and it was absolutely incredible to watch. I was blown away.
Well, I promise you, the minute we get vinyl, we're just going to send you one, bud. Like
I'm in.
Got you.
It's all right. Cool. We're gonna remind everybody really fast so they don't forget. July 14th, Devour the Day, Beer City Music Hall, Oklahoma City. Link to buy tickets in the description of this podcast. So all you got to do is click and buy your tickets, and then have a kick-ass time at the show.
Yes, sir.
We'll be signing those CDs after the show as well. So we'll be hanging out all night, just kicking it,
slanging merch, hanging out,
old school style.
The way it should be. The way it should be. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, guys, thank you guys so much for taking the time. I really